So the book we're going to talk about today is a book that it took me two tries to read. So the first time I picked it up from the library and then I just did not end up reading it. I don't know why. Who knows what happens? I was probably distracted by other books. So then I got it again recently, and lo and behold, it is an awesome book, and I totally should have read it sooner. And that book that we're going to talk about is The Eye of the Beholder by Emma Bamford. It's a thriller based around the, I guess, beauty care industry. So it follows this main character, Maddie, and she's a ghostwriter. So she's done ghostwriting for people's memoirs and biographies, and she has never actually had her name on the book. Usually it's the famous person or person of significance that their name's on the book, and she just writes it behind the scenes. So she gets the opportunity to go and write this book for this woman, Angela, who has this company called Reynolds RX. And what Angela does is she works in, it's not plastic surgery. What she does is a bit more natural looking with skincare, but it's still, like tweaks here and there to make you appear younger and to defy aging and stuff like that. So she wants to have her memoir written. And Maddie gets a job through her friend Sasha, and Sasha is Angela's lawyer. And then Angela also has this other partner, Scott. And to write her memoir, she is going to Scotland to stay at Angela's place and, focus, hunker down, and write this memoir for her. And when she gets there, Angela's there for like a hot minute. They talk for not too long. She tells her a little bit about the project and is like, "Okay, you have a month to do it." And she's like, "What? Wait, what? A month? I don't even know if that's possible to get it done and whatnot." And she's like, "Well, I've heard really good things about you. You come highly recommended, and this is it. This is what we're doing." And she's like, "All right," because the money is really good. So she thinks about it and she's like, "Okay, well, I'm at the house. I'm not gonna have any distractions. This should be fine." And then Angela leaves. And Angela's like, "Well, yeah, I'm gonna be out of the country and here and there and everywhere." And she's like, "Oh, well, why are you having me stay at your house if you're not gonna be here?" She's like, "Oh, this, that, and the other, some sort of like nondescript excuses or whatever." So she's just like, "All right, well, cool." And they set up some times for different interviews that they're gonna do. So she's like, "All right, I might as well get to work." And she's in this big fancy house with big windows, and it's kind of secluded and not really a whole lot going on around there besides woods and the cliffs and the sea. She starts to get to work and she starts digging, and she really can't find much on Angela because she looks at the notes that there was a prior author that was working on her memoir, but he apparently had some sort of family emergency thing that happened, so he didn't wasn't able to finish her stuff. And she's going through all these notes and it's like nothing personal in there at all. It's all very like technical jargon and stuff with like the names of the different drugs and whatnot that's used, and her eyes are glazing over and she has to look up stuff, and that's like, okay, this is not going to be an enjoyable read if it's all scientific jargon. So she wants to add some more personal stuff, so she starts digging. She finds like one picture of Angela. She's like, all right, well, when she talks to her at their interview that they're going to do over Zoom, she'll find out more of that. And so they have their interview. Angela comes on. I forget where she was, somewhere out of country. And so Maddie is like, all right, let's fill in some blanks here. She's like, just want to, get some basic information on you, your birth date, the names of your parents, where you grew up, what made you want to get into this field of work. And Angela's like, I don't see the importance of any of this. We don't need any of that in there. No, we're not going to use any of that. I want the work to really just shine. And Maddie's like, what? What? That's okay. And then they end the call and she's like, well, that's super suspicious and freaking weird. Why wouldn't you want, like, you're writing a memoir about your work and you don't want to include any personal details? Super sus. All right, so that is going on. And then her partner, he ends up coming to the house and ends up staying there because he has work to do. And he does like the technical side of stuff, like the accounting and the business end and all of that. And so he shows up there, which is at first kind of awkward, but he kind of keeps to himself and he's like sequestered in his end of the house. It's a big house, big fancy rich person house. So he doesn't bother her too much, but some like weird kind of mysterious things start to happen where one night in the middle of the night, like, and there's Angela's two dogs there. Scott brings the dogs and is watching the dogs. So the dogs are there too. She thought she heard this noise like down in the pantry. And she goes in there and she finds Scott, Angel's business partner, and he's all like wasted. And she wants to turn on the light, and he's like, no, no. And he's like grumbling and mumbling, and he smells really bad. And they have like somewhat of a conversation. And then like she goes back up to bed and is like, whatever, okay, you do you. That's weird. And it seemed weird because she had met Scott and he seemed pretty nice and he didn't give off that vibe that he had an alcohol problem or anything. And then all of a sudden, the next time she talks to Angela, Angela's like, yeah, tells her a bit about like Scott's addiction problems and this, that, and the other. But then she sees Scott and she asks him and brings up something about the pantry and the other night. And he's like, that didn't happen. And like completely denies it happened. Didn't happen. So there's like really shady stuff going on. Why doesn't Angela want anyone digging into her past and whatnot? Then there's some other occurrences too where Maddie, the ghostwriter, she sees Scott again a couple other times where he denies that it was him. And so she's like, what the F is going on here? It is an addictive read. I liked the characters. It's such a weird story, and it had. There's definitely a twist. You may see it coming if you read books like this, just with what happens. I don't want to get too into it. It is deranged and fun and just it's a page turner, a page burner. I highly enjoyed it. Like I said, for some reason I had to get it again from the library. And it's funny because when I picked it up again, at first I didn't remember that I had already grabbed it and I was like, huh, well the synopsis must have interested me the first time around, but I just didn't get to it and I should have. It's awesome. I loved it. I haven't read anything else by this author, but I would definitely like to. So if you like thrillers that have to do with the beauty industry in a kind of isolated location where people are possibly denying that they were drunk in the pantry or whatever, and why is this Angela woman so shady and doesn't want anyone digging into her background? Why is that? That's super suspicious. Eye of the Beholder might just be for you. And if you're a fan of thrillers, the next video coming up will be about another thriller. So stick around, check it out. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.